Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content we'll be covering today will be in the sport of football inside the NFL world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my thoughts on the biggest NFL free agents that have yet to sign with the NFL team during the NFL free agency. I'll be sharing the best landing spots for the biggest unsigned names still left in NFL free agency. So starting off with player number one, I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback still on the market, and I feel like Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers would be the best landing spot. Now, I feel like this is the only landing spot for Aaron Rodgers at this particular point. I feel like it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or retirement. And I know Aaron Rodgers left a bad taste in his mouth of how his days went with the New York Jets and did not go as planned, but there's not many choices left. I mean, he didn't want to go to the Giants. And now the Steelers have gave him an offer, but they're willing to be patient for Aaron Rodgers. I feel like it's Steelers or retirement. But I think Aaron Rodgers going to the Steelers is the best fit. I mean, this will be an upgrade for Russell Wilson, production-wise, I feel like. And if Aaron Rodgers could just bring in a sprinkle of what the magical days were when he was a Green Bay Packer, this could be a good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Aaron Rodgers' time with the New York Jets was a disaster. He tried to control the team, and they hit rock bottom. Robert Saleh was fired. I mean, the whole team spiraled. Nathaniel Hackett, his former offensive coordinator at Green Bay with the Green Bay Packers, and that he brought into New York for the New York Jets, he was downgraded and got demoted as the season went on. The defense fell apart, and things never materialized for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers to take off and levels and get to the heights that a lot of NFL fans thought that Aaron Rodgers could take the Jets to. And they finished in third place in the AFC East last year. Now, for Rodgers going to the Steelers, this gives Aaron Rodgers a chance to work with DK Metcalf and George Pickens, some young wide receivers. I think that could be a really good talented duo with both wide receivers playing on the outside next year, as long as they get a good quarterback to play in Arthur Smith's offensive system. And I think Aaron Rodgers could fit the bill. Again, I think this is an upgrade over Russell Wilson. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could play with those two. The Steelers still have a solid defense, and you still have Mike Tomlin, who has gone nearly 2 decades long without having a losing record. And Mike Tomlin has a lot to prove this NFL season in 2025, because we're starting to question, is Mike Tomlin the guy that we think he is? Because, yes, you could go above 500 all you want, but if you're not bringing any playoff success and have them won a playoff game in 10 years, that lights a fire under you. And maybe Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin could be a duo that would have been way better a decade ago, but could be something that AFC teams have to look out for, possibly, for 2025. But I think Aaron Rodgers, someone who's fighting to retire on the right foot, and having Mike Tomlin by his side, this could be something that could work short term for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers makes sense to me at this particular point. I think that's the best landing spot for him. Next is another player going to the Steelers. I think the best landing spot for Nick Chubb, running back, would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this could be a spicy move, because Nick Chubb has spent his entire career with the Dog Pound, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, we know how effective Nick Chubb has been for the duration of his NFL career. Now, Nick Chubb playing last year, I felt like Nick Chubb was not 100%. And clearly you could see that in Browns ball games. Nick Chubb was not the explosive guy with the ball in his hands. He really wasn't effective running the ball last year, coming off that gruesome, unfortunate knee injury in the 2023-2024 regular season. So, yes, he had a setback year. But if Nick Chubb could get at least back to 75%, 80% of the running back that he used to be with the Cleveland Browns, being a tremendous player in the backfield, really have stuck one foot in the ground and made his impact on the field as well, running the football. I mean, this would be a great 1-2 combination with Nick Chubb and Jaylen Warren being in the backfield for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think if Nick Chubb can get back to something slight, or again 75 to 80% of the player that he used to be, I think that's an upgrade at the running back position over Najee Harris, somebody that could get you the yards, yes, but wasn't effective in the red zone. And that's where I think Nick Chubb could come in as well. We're not asking Nick Chubb to get 1,000,000 carries with the Pittsburgh Steelers because they have a young back of Jaylen Warren that's got the speed and can be used as a receiving back as well. You could use Nick Chubb and the perfect 1-2 combination at the running back position in a similar way that Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are used with the Detroit Lions. You have your speed back and your power back, and Nick Chubb could be used effectively at the goal line to help this Pittsburgh Steelers get on the board. And they were a team that struggled in the red zone last year. So I feel like Nick Chubb will be a good spot, a good player to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also, he would fit well in Arthur Smith's offense. Remember, I don't know what that was. As I digress, Arthur Smith's offense is an offense where he likes to have his quarterback under center, runs a lot of play action, and likes to run the football. So I think if Nick Chubb could go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, that would definitely be a good landing spot for him. Next would be Tyler Lockett at the wide receiver position. I think the best landing spot for Tyler Lockett would be with the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys' offense struggled last season. I mean, this is an offense that was known for being one of the best over the last 3 to 5 years, putting up 30-plus points a game. Last year, they ranked 21st in scoring offensively. And yes, I understand that Dak Prescott missed a big chunk of the year, but Cooper Rush is a guy that had a lot of experience as a veteran, not the best backup, but pretty reliable. And now he's with the Ravens, but you guys get my point. These athletes are paid millions of dollars to make adjustments on the fly, even with the backup of Cooper Rush. So CeeDee Lamb was the only receiving option that was a difference maker for the Cowboys last year at the wide receiver position. I mean, everybody else, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevin Turpin, nobody else can make separation and get open and be a consistent threat at the wide receiver position other than CeeDee Lamb last year. I mean, that was one of the reasons why the Cowboys finished the way that they did with the defensive problems, but the wide receiver position is definitely a problem for the Dallas Cowboys. They missed out on getting Cooper Kupp. I mean, he was too expensive for Jerry Jones's budget, even though you're a damn billionaire at this point. I don't know. But as I digress, I think Tyler Lockett, for how consistent he's been his entire NFL career over the last decade with the Seattle Seahawks, will be a good number 2 playing alongside CeeDee Lamb. And I think the Cowboys are going to have to address the wide receiver position at some point in the NFL draft. But even if you bring in a rookie, you can still have Tyler Lockett as your second receiving option to play alongside CeeDee Lamb, a well-proven veteran that has been very consistent throughout his NFL career, and someone that could be worth around $7.7 million on a cheap one-year contract to prove if he's still elite wide receiver and to prove if he's still worth the money. So I think Tyler Lockett's best landing spot would be going to the Dallas Cowboys. Next name on my list, Stephon Gilmore. I think the best landing spot for Stephon Gilmore would be with the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks. And I believe that Stephon Gilmore still has gas left in his gas tank. I think he's still a really good cornerback, former Defensive Player of the Year years ago with the New England Patriots. And he had a decent year playing alongside that Minnesota Vikings defense and under Brian Flores' defensive scheme. Now, with the Seahawks, I think it's an interesting fit for Stephon Gilmore, a veteran cornerback that still is looking to compete on NFL defenses. I think this would be a good fit to be in Mike Macdonald's defense. And I'm looking at the DBs that the Seattle Seahawks have. I mean, Rick Woolen and Stephon Gilmore playing on the outside with Devin Witherspoon playing in the nickel. I think that would be really good for Mike Macdonald's defense moving forward. And I think Stephon Gilmore will be a really good fit with the Seattle Seahawks team. This is a veteran cornerback that could give his knowledge to the younger guys like Rick Woolen and Devin Witherspoon of what it takes to be one of the best DBs in the league. Plus, he can still cover your favorite wide receivers. I mean, he ain't the same guy that he was with the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots years ago. But I think Stephon Gilmore is still a tremendous talent. And I think he would be good with the Seattle Seahawks on a good one-year contract. And last but not least is Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson is not the best choice. But I think Russell Wilson going to the New York Giants at this particular point makes sense. I don't think the Steelers could still re-sign Russell Wilson. But at this point, it just feels like going back to your ex-girlfriend with the girl that you wanted doesn't meet your needs or is willing to go with a different boyfriend. And I think that's the situation that Russell Wilson is in. So I feel like the best landing spot for him is the New York Giants. And I feel like the Giants, in all seriousness, have to really consider this move. Because Aaron Rodgers did not want to go to the New York Giants. He would rather retire than go to the New York Giants and stay in New York. And you bring in a veteran quarterback in Russell Wilson, I think this is the best move in the best case scenario because Tommy DeVito is not starter material. I've seen enough film from Tommy DeVito. Not starter material. Neither is Drew Lock if they bring him back. But Russell Wilson could be your guy. At best case scenario, you could have Russell Wilson start off the season as your quarterback. They have the 3rd overall pick. You could draft the best player remaining on the board, whether that's Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter in the first round. And then you get a guy like Jackson Dart in the 2nd round. And then the best case scenario, you draft Jackson Dart, who is a tremendous talent from Ole Miss. You have him learn from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson starts off the season. If it's very sloppy out there, not efficient, not winning ball games, you bring in Jackson Dart. And that's the best case scenario for the New York Giants. So I think Russell Wilson going to the Giants makes sense at this particular point. And those are my thoughts on the best NFL free agents that are still on the market. The best big names that are still left on the market. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.